Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything to remove from the consent agenda? No? Okay, we need a motion.
That we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, great. Tim, you're up.
All right, that was fast.
It was fast.
So from the PTO, we had our Halloween hoop, and it was very successful. A lot of people came. Everyone seemed to have a great time. Very well organized. I mean, we had more volunteers this year than last year, so that was also a good sign. And we made almost $16,000 after expenses. So
That's
it
great.
continues to be a huge fundraiser for us.
Yeah. It's too bad we somehow can't make it like 2 days, although everybody.
I think everyone involved.
Yeah. I know.
Gets the 2-day hoop.
Yeah. BJ used to play.
We also completed Picture Day and Retake Day. We used a new company this year, and that seemed to go pretty well. A few little glitches, but worked those out, and that seemed to go fine. Our social nights have started. We had kindergarten and first grade, and those were all really well attended too, like 36 to 40 kids.
Oh, that's great.
Way up from normal.
Good.
And again, everyone had a good time at those.
Good.
Book fair is November 30th to December 4th,
Okay.
so we're getting ready for that.
Yeah.
And also we're doing our Thanksgiving food drive, which ends this Friday. We have somewhere around 20 to 25 families at Beecher that we focus on. And then anything that we have in addition, we send over to the food pantry for the town.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and our fall fundraiser came and went, and that wasn't as good as last year. We, again, changed to a different company, not as popular apparently, so that didn't pan out as well as we hoped, but done.
Okay. You guys are doing great.
So everything's going well.
Yeah. Good. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, Tim, once again, we have to salute you and the PTO. You really help to create community in the school and outside the school. And you know, as we say often, our children give us a good excuse to come together, and you take advantage of that. The Halloween food was unbelievable. Yeah. The harvest hike.
Oh, that's right.
The social nights that we have here. Beecher Road School never sleeps. That means Friday night too.
Yeah.
So keep on. And also, we're very appreciative of the cultural and educational presentations that you bring into the school. So thank you all.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody have any questions for Tim? No? Okay. Thank you. All right, Dr. Stella, you are up.
Oh, I'm up here.
I know.
Well, let me start by thanking our teachers and our staff, administrators too. Our teachers go above and beyond in so many ways. I'm sure you're aware of the fact that many of our teachers serve as moderators for our different clubs. We had the chance, I'm sorry, TV audience, you didn't have a chance to see it, but we had our children, 6th grade children, direct, produce, and present a news broadcast today. And again, they have a club, a news club, and children in the 6th grade can get involved in a variety of ways, whether they're writers or putting it together or actually the anchor people. So we thank Danielle Usello, who is one of our tech team members who helped to put that together. And talk about a school that never sleeps. As you know, during this summer, we had a major upgrade. A lot of work was done. Dozens of workers were working on all kinds of projects. One of the projects was on the B wing, where the new roof was put in, new window walls, air conditioning, new ventilation systems, casework, etc. In the process, there was an outdoor classroom right outside the multi-aged, and part of that outdoor classroom was destroyed with so many workers working and things coming off the roof and so on. Well, a number of our teachers from the multi-ages, along with parents, helped to worked on it over the weekend, and I'm happy to say it took a visit today. It's in good shape and on the way to getting better. So another indication of how teachers and parents give on behalf of our children. You know, other groups that we have as far as teachers serving as moderators, we have student council that you'll hear more about later. It's doing absolutely fantastic work. Our environmental stewards that focus on the environment, and again we have Dr. Steppinger involved with that, and our upper grade students. So these are just several of the examples how we're a giving school in so many ways, everyone in the community. There's a long agenda, so we'll start by having Mrs. Prisco give a Beecher Road School update.
Thank you, Dr. Stella. You did hear the PTO, Tim Kelly, share a few things that I will share, but mine comes from a little bit of a different perspective. So I do have some thank yous, and that would be first to those who help with the food. It is a tremendous community event, and without the support of the volunteers, and that includes the BRS faculty as well. So our parents, our PTO members, grandparents, and faculty members come together and give generously of their time. This also leads me into my next topic, which is the Thanksgiving season is upon us. And we do want to thank everyone who has contributed to the food drive, sponsored by the PTO, and also the Rotary Coat Drive here. So there is still time to contribute if you can and are able. It does support all of our local community. I had the opportunity to attend the kindergarten social, and I believe Dr. Stella attended the first grade social. It is absolutely a time where new families can come together with longtime Beecher Road School families and make connections. Children can have a little dinner, special treat at the end, play, do a craft, and just enjoy each other's company while at school, but still in a different kind of structure. So it's a great event. Also, the book fair, becoming a community event once again. Teachers, faculty, other faculty members, students working to create book covers this year to be the decor for the book fair. We will have the family night, which has grown, so we thank everybody, and especially the volunteers who come and give again to set up and take down. It's not just while the book fair is going on. It's all the work prior to and all the work afterwards. And we do build a community of readers. It is never more evident than when you walk to that book fair and you feel the excitement of students getting new books, or as I have to say sometimes, please close that while you're walking. So as they take their journeys through literature, the book fair is a wonderful opportunity for us to see that. There are many ways for Beecher Road students to learn about service. And this year, the Veterans Day ceremony, as well as the events throughout the day, provided a wealth of opportunity for all of our children. While the inclement weather did move us indoors to the South Assembly, the Beecher Road School Band and Color Guard performed beautifully. We had guests, our veterans were our guests, and our keynote speaker was our own Deputy Ray Stewart from the Woodbridge Police Department, who spoke to our third and our fourth graders, as well as all of our honored guests that day. Throughout the day, the students were a host of a myriad of events throughout the day. They greeted veterans welcomed them into their classroom to hear their stories. The veterans that were our guests were able to see the Wall of Honor. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see that, it grows and grows each year. And there are Beecher Road community members, families, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, and that is something that we will want to continue to grow. We'll need a bigger wall soon. Our 5th and 6th grade students were very fortunate to hear Hamlet Hernandez, Superintendent of Branford Schools. Thank you, Dr. Stella, for arranging for him to speak to the students. He talked about service, not only through his time in the Marines, but also his commitment to education and how he was able to connect those two. And it was just a wonderful time. And when you captivate, he talked to me about 45 minutes and with questions, and they were in awe. And so it was a great day for all of us. Last but not least, for the 4th year in a row, I was able to deliver to the Veterans Hospital cards, letters, posters, and to make not only a day bright for veteran, but those items will be put on breakfast and lunch trays throughout the entire month for those that are there for short-term or long-term stay at the Veterans Hospital. Beecher Road School is definitely an excellent learning community where we do focus on academics and the arts. But the things that I've just described to you are kind of what makes Beecher a very special place to be. So that's it for tonight.
Thank you.
Ms. Driscoll, thanks for organizing, and thanks also to staff too. It was such a wonderful day of learning on Veterans Day. I was so impressed with the learning that took place from early morning to late afternoon. And the number of veterans that come each year seems to increase. And the children are delighted having the veterans come in, and the veterans seem very delighted to be there too. So we appreciate all your efforts with that. And I see. I'd just like to mention one thing. I think our children again made the Guinness World Book of Records, and I see in the audience Mrs. Nacuzzi, who was with the student council. So maybe if you could describe what happened with that and give us a little update on the student council.
Sure. So I would like to say that I did see some of those Veterans Day cards that the students made, and these students pour their hearts and their souls into these cards. And that kind of connects with what I'll be speaking about, which is our student council. We have officially started this year. So we really had a lot of great events that happened last year that sort of set the tone for a culture of volunteering. So I often talk to Dr. Stella about that we have a wonderful culture of volunteering. So the student council really supports our school as well as the community worldwide. So we got off to a great start this year. We opened up to a great number of returning students. Our 5th grade students are now 6th grade students, and they are the top advisors for the students. And I just would like to quickly highlight some of the activities that they've been involved with. So we do have a special space to meet. We have a headquarters. So the students who have been selected from this year's 5th grade class and the returning students are really excited about that. So hopefully we can maintain that little corner of space for our one day per cycle meetings. We were involved with, or the students were involved with, escorting families and students who were new to the school on the first day of school. We were involved with the ice cream social. There were volunteers that came early and stayed later. Definitely we were involved with the Halloween Hoot, and that happened on Friday as well as all day Saturday. We were involved with promoting door decorating for the first time, and all classroom teachers inspired their students to work together and come up with a great idea to display something connected to that season on the door. And it made the school look quite nice.
It looked great. It really
Thank
did.
you. Yes, the kids were quite proud of that.
They even decorated my door.
Yeah.
Is it still decorated?
It's been
Good,
yeah.
So we recently did have involvement in, this is our 2nd year in a row, in the Guinness Book of World Records, and that was organized by Sandy Simowitz, and Dr. Stella was there, Mrs. Sherman was there, Mrs. Purcell was there, and it involved cup stacking at a phenomenal rate of speed. And these students were so active, so involved, and one of them made the comment, you know, sometimes we come to school and we do work, but sometimes we come to school and we just have fun. So I thought that was a very good reflection. Part of attending that Guinness Book of World Records event also meant bringing food donations, so we will also have a representation in the PTO Thanksgiving Basket food drive. So we currently have 12 5th grade members, 15 6th grade members. Our advisors, I don't know if you know this, but Sandy Simowitz, Kayla Widmeyer, Beth Green, and myself were among the members. We do follow responsive classroom expectations when we have our meetings, and there's just a couple more things that we're involved with. You saw the WBRS news. So proud of that. The student council has really taken that over. So thanks to Ms. Ulaco and Mr. Crawford for the technology component of that. Every Spirit Day that we have in our school, the student council is responsible for collecting facts about Beecher history. So we've had one of the PA announcements dedicated to a fact about Beecher history that people, adults in the school and students in the school may not have known about. So it's sort of paying respect for the past donators to the community. We do have a movie night coming up, and we'll also be involved with the PTO book fair night. So we have a lot of different partnerships going on in the school. And one more exciting thing, if somebody would like to see an actual YouTube video dedicated to Beecher Road School for the student council donation that was made last year, there's an actual video by the National Disaster Search Dog Foundation where the founder of that organization is thanking all the students for their service and their charity. So, thank you. We're off to a great start.
Thank you for what you do. Please thank the other moderators. I'd like to acknowledge that we have several students from Amity High School in our audience, some from Beecher Road School, alumnus or alumna. Who is from Beecher Road School? Raise your hand. Wonderful. And from what I understand, they're taking a course on critical issues, so we better come up with some critical issues for them, by the way. Thank you for coming tonight. As you know, for the past 2 years, we've had a major focus on mathematics. We do everything, but there's been a major focus on mathematics. And last year it culminated in a 3-day visit by 11 educators from the TriState Consortium from different states in the metropolitan area. And that group studied our mathematics program for 3 days, gave commendations, recommendations, what they saw, and they presented us with commendations and recommendations, which we used as the basis for a 2-year math plan. And we're off and running with that. And our administrative liaison with our math program is Ms. Annalisa Sherman, and she'll give an update. And that'll be followed by something that's very much connected to it, and that's our audit of the TAG program.
Thank you, Dr. Stella. So I'm actually going to use the screen.
Yeah, keep going.
Sorry, can somebody move?
Anywhere you want.
There's plenty of spots tonight.
Get the chairs there.
Don't do that.
Always forget that button. So I want to start, of course, by saying thank you for allowing me this opportunity to be here to talk about math. And I'm actually going to be doing a video for you of math at Beecher Road School, sort of a peek inside the instruction that's happening daily. And in this video, you're going to see examples of whole class mini lessons, which is part of our workshop model. You're also going to see examples of partner work and small group work, which is so critical as we work to individualize our instruction, differentiate our learning for our students. And finally, you're going to see evidence of math in posters and in artwork. Oh yes, sorry. I forgot to say that we have to turn off the cameras.
Before I left the State Department, and I've been working with them since that time. And although there have been many transitions in the leadership team here, namely Claire Kennedy and Lisa Sherman, it's always been a pleasure. And the new folks that are sitting around the table are equally as good as the older folks and bring lots of fresh perspectives. So that's a little bit about me. That's all you need to know. I'm delighted to be here. So what I'd like to do is just give you the highlights of this report. I'm assuming that you've read it. You don't need me to go through it with you. So I think the first thing that I'd like to allude to in this report is in the preface. As I was writing this report for the school system, it was impossible to separate what was gifted and talented from what is really going on in the regular classroom. Not only do you have a population that is precocious in mathematics. Many of them have high abilities. There are those who are certainly identified as gifted and talented, but you have so many high-achieving mathematics students that it was impossible for me to separate out the stuff that's being done for the precocious kids versus the gifted and talented. So I've put them together, and in some cases I have separated them out with asterisks, whatever. You saw that in the report. So I just wanted to clarify for you why we're talking about all the kids at Beecher Road School when this is really about your TAG program. So does that seem kind of reasonably clear? Okay. And then what I would like to do is talk a little bit about the history, because we do have some new folks at the table. Back in 2010, Dr. Stella contacted me. This was after I retired. Yes, after I retired. And they requested an audit of the Gifted and Talented program. which I did during that year. In fact, I interviewed, did I interview some of you? I don't think so. I think I interviewed. Did I interview you? Okay, all right. So we've been around for a long time. We just don't want to tell them how long. And that was presented to the board in 2011. Because we are persistent, that seems to be the word of the night. There was a follow-up to the audit. That was done in 2012. And then you had your TriState report in 14-15. And then Guy called me last summer and said, geez, you know, we really should follow up with this. So I think that not only do we have a math practice standard about persistence and perseverance, but we also have a cadre of folks in this school who are truly persistent about increasing the achievement for kids. So that's the history. And what I tried to do to highlight the coherence, the laser-like focus of the staff here in your school. I simply copied the recommendations and by grade from the audit in your pages 5 through 7, whatever it is. And then in blue, I highlighted the accomplishments to date. For those of you that wanted to look at the original follow-up, I put that in the appendix, okay? So I hope that the color helped you understand what had been accomplished to date. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to focus on the conclusion, which is on your page 10. Because I think, you know, I think it's like all these wonderful pictures that Lisa brought to us. I think when you read a report or you look at picture after picture, we sort of lose the forest through the trees. Do you know what I'm saying? If we look at what's been done in the conclusion on page 10, as we think about the focus of the staff, I think you get a really clear, robust picture of what's been done over the last even year and a half. So number one, you have an absolutely brand new math series, and it is being implemented, I think, with fidelity in the classrooms. That's brought an increase in the rigor to your math program for all students. That's not to say that every teacher is going to be great at it. They're still learning about it. But what I've seen and what you've seen in Lisa's pictures is that teachers are using this series to increase the rigor of your curriculum. You've had summer curriculum writing by the teachers, which I think demonstrates their understanding of the content of this unit, the series, and the assessment techniques. These address the needs of all students. Mathematics instruction at Beecher Road School is aligned with the Common Core state standards. In some states, I don't even want to talk about that, but in Connecticut, I think it's still viable. As someone who's spent their entire life in curriculum, I need to tell you, they are some of the best standards I have ever seen. Unfortunately, it's become very political now with the assessments, but the standards themselves are wonderful. So I think it makes for robust learning for all of your kids. PLC time, you saw Lisa show a picture of your grade 5 team. Professional learning community time is devoted, some of it is devoted to analysis of student data. And so then they sit around and they say, what should be some of our instructional next steps? If I got a kid here and I got a kid here, what should I be doing next? That's very powerful. You have resources, additional resources that have been purchased to support teachers' use of new instructional techniques and ideas in math. Technology is increasingly part of instruction. We would expect that, but that takes learning on the part of all the teachers. You've got a brand new math coach for the teachers in the upper grades. She's divine. I love her. I stack her up against anybody in the state. She's absolutely phenomenal with her understanding. And the two, Jeanne and Maureen, complement each other. She does spend time with the teachers and groups of teachers customizing instruction for the students, all students, especially those who need the extra challenge. You've got cross-disciplinary projects going on. You saw that in some of the pictures that Lisa showed to you. Teachers are required to develop a professional objective in mathematics. That doesn't necessarily mean they have to focus on differentiation, but in fact they do, because when they're meeting the needs of diverse students in their classrooms, they've got to differentiate. So you've got that as an added layer. You have a brand new leadership team here in the school. You didn't have that before, even when I started working in 2008 or 9. And they are conducting these wonderful walkthroughs. What we're seeing is just blowing the lid off things. That was the learning walks. So I think what I want to tell you is to think about the progress for all kids and for your highest achieving students. There is a lot going on here at Beecher Road School, and it's conducted with coherence and a laser-like focus. I think you'll see in this report that you've got all of the data that we know about the teachers. You've got the TriState report. You've got the gifted and talented audit, and they all have a singular focus, increasing student achievement. And all the Board of Education goals, your goals related to the TriState report, they are aligned. So I'm going to close with a very wonderful book. You're all familiar with The Little Engine That Could? It's about persistence. Let's hear it for this wonderful staff and the teachers. The Little Engine That Could. So I thank you very much. I did this in less than 15 minutes, which was my goal. I will be happy to take questions or comments, whatever. Yes?
So on page 9 of your report, you have in blue, and I think it's in quotes, meaning that it may be what the TriState Consortium found. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the TriState Consortia found that there does not appear to be an organized approach to addressing the unique skills and interests of these students, referring to the high-flying students, whatever that was. And so do you think that is changed since last year, or do you think that's the same? You know, we've heard about a lot of different initiatives taking place, including a math group that is meeting that hasn't met before. Do you think that's sufficient to meet what the Tri-State Consortium saw was a disorganized or not organized approach?
Yeah, Emily, I'm really glad you brought that up, and it's why I included it in this report. I'm puzzled by it, actually. They had, what, 3 days? I know they saw a lot. I don't know whether they didn't see all of it. I don't think all of this has happened since they were here, but I certainly think that there is a concerted effort, an organized, clear effort to meet the needs of all kids, including the high-achieving kids. With that said, Emily, I think that there's much more that can yet be done to provide challenge for our highest achieving students. I think when I put that in there, I wanted to highlight it and to show what I see as a different perspective on that particular quotation.
And when you say that you still see things that can be done, are you providing those recommendations?
We are in consultation about some of the additional things that we're going to be doing. I think what's real important.
That's not stated in this report.
I think if I probably put tiering in there. I'd have to find out. Tiering is an instructional strategy where teachers create different versions of the lesson depending upon the needs of the learners in the classroom. You may create one version for the on-grade level students. You may have one for the kids that are a little bit below grade level, and then for your high flowers. You not only do you have extensions, but you have a more difficult resource to use. You have a more challenging problem for them to do. It's you creating different tiers for the students all around the same objective. So I think that we will see that that's a strategy that teachers could use to address the needs in a more ongoing way. Okay.
And a follow-up to that is, I know that in 6th grade there's a division of differentiated instruction where the kids are, where there's breakouts for kids in 6th grade. And have you discussed or had any discussions with the math team, or has the math team discussed having similar breakouts for other grades? And I know, for example, when you look at the SBAC, which is the only thing I've ever seen that would give the public an indication of kind of where people are. In 5th grade, for example, there's almost a quarter of the kids fall into each of those 4 tiers, which would then to a non-teacher but a parent and a board member speak to some level of difficulty a teacher might have in providing instruction to an entire class if you had a quarter of kids falling into each of those SBAC categories of proficiency.
I have to tell you, I'm not aware of the what did you call them?
Yeah, I think that's probably better from Gina or Lisa. We do have, in 6th grade, they actually break out the students, so not everybody in the same classroom is in the same math
Oh, gotcha.
lesson.
Yeah.
But
That's more to take a step towards adjusting for the middle school
Right.
that has that model so that the children will not be caught cold.
I don't think,
But, yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that that's in the plan for the other grade levels, but I think that's in preparation for middle school.
And so I can speak a little bit to talking about differences between math partnerships and then math groups. Sometimes so we have different levels of that, and it could be as low as 2nd grade, where you might be working with your math partner on a leveled assignment, but then when you're in a math group, that would be a heterogeneous group. So there'd be multitude of levels within that group. So that's one way that we're addressing that. And so currently right now there is not a decision to be leveling across all grades, but what you saw in some of those pictures, in those small groups, that is how we do address different needs of learners within the classroom. Similar in the way we do a readers and writers workshop.
And one of the things that I liked about the way you presented it was not tag as a completely separate entity, that it flows into the classroom. And, and again, what works for the highest kids, and the level of differentiation and the, creating extension activities, for the units, at the lower level too. You've got things that, those kids have available to them, and then you've got things that the kids at the highest levels have available to them within the classroom, since most of our kids are in the classroom most of the time. And the kids who come out for tag activities, those activities have their own value and their own independence, and those are a lot of project-oriented kinds of things more. But the idea that information and the way we do things comes back into the classroom, and we create, I don't know how you say it, extensions of the lesson plan or things that the teacher then has available. They don't have to think up. When they see kids at a certain level, they have available resources to say, okay, you can work at that. So I like the idea that this isn't, especially, the focus here obviously in TAG was the math portion of it, that we're looking at it, we have the program and we're providing, outside services, but a lot of our focus is on differentiation within the classroom, which is clearly addressing all of our kids as opposed to a select group. Lisa? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little confused because I don't really see anything that's actually about the TAG program in this. I understand, and to me it leads to the question of how is it functioning at this point? This is the thing we keep trying to get an answer to is, to what extent are kids being pulled out of the classroom, and how does that work, and what are the activities that we're doing, and how have these been selected? Is there still, is it still appropriate?
Yes, I think so.
And I was a little surprised by the nature of the presentation.
So let me address specifically your questions. First of all, you need to recognize, and I'm sure that you do, that there are many districts that no longer have services. I commend Woodbridge because they continue to have their services. I do believe that you have pull-up programs in both language arts and mathematics. They are working on creating even more aligned extensions that are challenging for these students. So that is all the most positive kind of news. I can tell you that I met with your gifted and talented team. When was that? I have it in my notes.
We met like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago?
And prior to that too.
And we talked about the directions that we should be moving in. There's going to be continuing work on studying acceleration. That was an initiative I started before I left at the State Department. There is no policy at the State Department on acceleration. However, it is a viable option, but you cannot do that without studying it, understanding it, that there are 22 different kinds of acceleration. That comes out of the Templeton Report, A Nation Deceived, A Nation Empowered. I think what we're going to be doing is looking at what is acceleration, how might it benefit the students here at Beecher Road School, and exactly what policies should be in place to make sure that that is an equitable offering. Does that make sense? So you have services, you have to identify.
I guess I wonder what's changed in the way we offer services since the
right. And I think maybe that isn't what is included here. So I do think that it makes sense for us to, you know, to ask for more of a how does it work now kind of thing, because I'm not sure that everybody understands, you know, how kids get, you know, are presented to tag as, you know, look them over, see if they qualify, how they qualify, who's involved, what services they get when they become part of the tag program. I mean, you're kind of looking for more of a process. Because we haven't had that for a while. So, so maybe we can separately, because this
Did you
is
want to say something?
Well,
Yeah,
just
okay.
on the website, there is
Right.
the whole process of how we, what the goals are of the program, the strategies of the program, the levels of service, which include enrichment, school-wide enrichment, the TAG program, how I identify what resources are available to parents, so what we are working on with Jeanne and part of our committee is how we need to fine-tune that, how do we need to communicate that better, and how we are going to look more at acceleration and what does that word mean? Who would we provide that services and how?
So
Well, you know, I know that there were a number of points raised with the way the program operated 4 years ago, and I'm just wondering what has changed, how, you know, how it's working differently than it did 4 years
So
ago.
you have the nuts and bolts. Is
I
that
want
your
to know
question?
what's happening with TAG.
Yes.
You know, this is a
How the students are identified?
bunch of news about the math program overall, and it makes a lot of sense to me how the school is going about it.
Well, that helps
But
to
I
clarify.
want to understand what the role
Yeah,
is of
well,
TAG in relationship to all these other
That makes sense,
activities.
because we've interpreted 2 charges from the board. One is looking at TAG, but also we've gotten the charge to look at the wider school, and that was the purpose of this evening, tying it into an update on math and the TriState. TAG was mentioned, but it was also, I guess, a focus on how do you take the strategies that you're working with TAG and bring it to the whole school. But we will certainly, it'll be our pleasure to follow up with a more focused look at TAG, because we have lots of information on it. That'll be very easy to do, and we can highlight any differences.
Yeah.
And also, I have to mention that Jeanne is working with us on an ongoing basis. So it's a fluid thing with TAG, and we're trying to improve it at the same time.
So maybe what we can do for the next meeting is if people look at what information is available on the website and then kind of write down, what would you like to hear about? You know, do you want to hear the actual process? Do you want to hear what kids do in TAG? Do you want to hear, you know, we can do kind of this is what we might be looking for in some information that maybe, you know, Claire can bring to us. Is that Lisa, is that kind of?
And just to, I'm sorry, but one thing we've also added or updated is on that website. TAG News.
Okay.
And we just updated this week, I think James did it yesterday or Friday, projects and things that are being worked on at different grade levels.
Yeah, so it'll be
And
easy
we're
to
going to
present.
keep updating that every month. Not using student names, but this group is working on this group is working on that, so that parents
It'll be a
have that
good
opportunity to look that up, to look up that information too.
Karen, your idea is really a great one. Then we can get information out on pinpointed questions like how are kids identified, what is the number of kids who are identified. If people will, you know, share those questions, then I think we can answer your questions.
What we'll do is just factor it into the, you know, one of the schedules, and then it'll be like, we're going to get, you know, the TAG specific information changes, but also just what's going on currently, because a lot of people aren't going to recognize changes, you know, if you haven't been here before. So we'll figure out a date. It's, you know, I mean, we're not going to ask for the information next meeting, but maybe, you know, January.
Sure.
And maybe a broader sense of your perspective on where it fits in with all of this, you know, because again, this sounds wonderful, the direction that the math program is heading, and you know, it seems like there's an extensive focus upon differentiating in the classroom and understanding
I have
where
to
that
say,
is tagged.
I am extremely pleased with the way the teachers are moving forward as far as giving up their time and learning too. I call many of our teachers leaders of learning. They're, you know, on-site and off-site. They really have a growth mind mentality, and I think that's propelling our school forward quite a bit.
The other thing, in reading through the share out, where you're talking about, you showed us, how in music you're, doing fractions, which was very impressive. So, that kind of cross, learning, again, with everything else that you were talking about earlier, Lisa. It's just, it's good to see, and it's amazing to see, because you can talk about it and you don't really know what that means, but then, the language that you use, and then, seeing fractions in music when they're talking about, how long, hold a note, that's very impressive.
The school is in motion. There's a lot of momentum. So that's the good thing.
It never sleeps, it's always in
never
motion.
sleeps.
Other questions? Other questions? Comments?
Anybody? Thank you very much.
Jeanne, we have to thank you very, very much
My pleasure.
for coming out on the evening this year.
My pleasure.
And for always being available.
It seems like midnight when you're coming out, it's so
Yeah.
dark. No, for me.
Sorry.
Let me see, where are we? Okay, all right. Facilities. Do we have a, oh, Karen's not here. Okay.
Facilities doesn't meet until
Thursday. All right, so we'll, all right. Building, I don't know if there's anything, I know that they're still working and they've
The big thing right now,
things.
well, there's a lot of work, nitty-gritty work is happening now. The heating system is in, HVAC and so on. It's a question of tinkering with the controls and getting them in sync as far as the classroom. The classroom might get too hot, so that has to be adjusted and so on. And I'll also mention that this is not exactly the building upgrade, but it's a steep grant. New fencing has been put in south around the perimeter of the parking lot. That's a safety issue, looks better aesthetically too, so that's part of it too.
That's great. Okay. All right, finance. Karen, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about finance.
I don't have anything prepared to say, but I know we changed, we filled Al's position, and there was an accounting issue that popped up that we changed. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, we changed the reporting a little bit for finance. I think in terms of the numbers, we didn't see a lot of movement this last month. We're still working against. Oh, the what? The summary report?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the summary report we used to use and modifying it slightly because of the value in some of the information was, the detail report was more valuable, so we're keeping part of the summary report as it relates to special education, because that's
correct.
A hot item all the time, especially this year. And then we'll continue to have the detailed report and the combined reports, but I don't think the numbers changed significantly for our deficit. Okay, so CABE.
Friday is the CABE conference. I will be there, and you both will be there as well, right?
Right.
Anybody else want to come?
You're recruiting them now, huh? Okay, and then upcoming meetings, the operating budget, I don't really know that we have. we get a pretty comprehensive view of the operating budget, so I don't know if anybody had any questions, if anybody wanted, all the information on like prior operating budgets and the details, the presentations that are done to the town. That's a good, if you haven't been through the process, that's a good place to look, because the presentation that Dr. Stella does to the town is a different level than the presentation that he does to the board, obviously. But it's interesting to see those things together. So you might want to look at last year's if you haven't been through the budget process. That you will have much detail for that. And then the summer programs. I think we already talked about this because we delayed this one.
Delayed for 1 month.
Yeah. So does anybody have anything to add on this one? Anything they're specifically interested in? Okay. All right, great. And then new business, the calendar. Did you want to say anything about the calendar, Dr. Stella? I was very confused because Christmas was on the 27th, but what do I know?
Let me get this here. Listen, as you probably remember, the State Board of Education, through the legislature, actually mandated that the RESC, the service areas such as ACES in the state come up with a regional calendar. And ACES, that's our RESC, had a task force, and they looked at different options and so on, and they came up with some very specifics, and their board approved it. So it's a mandated calendar. There were a few tweaks that districts could do, and the BOA superintendents got together with that, such as an extra day of PD or the starting date. So with the ACES calendar, there's at least 180 days of actual school for all districts. We have 181. We have a uniform starting date. It's August 29th. And we have our 2 professional days that are common for the entire region, not only BOA, but the entire region, and that's August 25th and Tuesday, November 8th. If you look at our calendar, you'll see that there are lots of days in case we need them because of snow or closure, school closure. We're hoping that we don't have it. But as of now, and don't count on it, the last day of school is June 9th. But we usually have a number of days of closures because of the harsh winter.
Now, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because I should have understood this the
Yeah.
whole time my kid was going here, and
Right.
I don't know that I did. If we have a lot of snow days, we go from the 12th to the 16th, then we take off April days?
No,
No.
The BOA decision was to guarantee the April vacation and go through June. But there's so many days there that the likelihood of going to the last week, I can't guarantee anything, is not great. That we go there.
On wood right now.
Yeah, not gonna look at that. But
Okay.
judging by
So
past history, even during harsh winters.
Okay, so we
Yeah,
go.
That is one of the concerns people have had in the past about the way the calendar now works, that, plausibly we could end up in school until June 30th, which is
Right.
very difficult for camp schedules and things.
Right.
But
But it is what it is.
But it would have to, we have 10 days built in. And again, looking at the historic patterns. As far as in fact, I mean, before the last week.
Yeah.
But then there's other ways too of coming up with days too, not to hit the last week. So again, I can't guarantee it anything, but I feel pretty confident.
We've only had like 5 days or so the last couple of years, right? You have to make us?
I think last year, don't quote me on it, I think it was 5 to 7 days, I'm not sure. About 7
Yeah, but
days.
sometimes we
7
take
days.
back
Yeah.
a day, that we had off, and we take,
Yeah, there
if we
are
know
ways of
about it
working
early
with it
enough.
to get some additional ones. So it's a good comfort zone, we'll put it that way. If we have more than that, then there's real climate change going on.
Did you have a question?
No.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions about the calendar? Do we have a motion? Oh, no. All right, I can make a motion, right?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'm going to move that we approve the 2016-17 calendar as presented by administration.
Second.
Okay.
With the corrections?
Pardon? Is there a correction?
It just, I don't know if it's a typo, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
Yeah. That was my question too, that Christmas
It
Day is on
falls
the
on the
27th.
weekend,
I was very confused.
And that is by union contract that we have to designate the actual holiday. So that is the reason it is designated as the 27th.
It's because of the day it falls on this year.
It
I know, I
falls
was
on
like,
the
how have I
weekend.
never seen this before?
It's not under that vacation.
So, because it falls on the weekend, we have to designate an alternate,
I know,
the
'cause I looked
actual
at it,
day
I'm
that
like,
the holiday will be recognized for the unions.
I go, but it is, because that's this is for the union contract, they have to designate the weekend. Right,
I
that's
see.
what it says?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It's just marking what it's in place of.
Right.
That's all it is.
Because we
Yeah, we'll
have
take a look
to
at
abide by
that.
the contract on the union, we have to tell them which day that actually will be recognized as.
Okay. All right, so,
We'll take a look at that wording though. Maybe confusing, say, December 27th is Christmas Day.
It's the same thing in other calendars that have
yeah, it's just
had
been 7
similar-
years since we had the weekend thing, so we all forgot. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Alrighty. Okay, public comment? Nobody snuck behind you?
No.
Nope, okay, and I guess that's it. We need to move to adjourn. Second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? You did?
Lisa
and Lynn?
Okay, all those in favor? We're done. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.